honorable sisters, brothers, and friends. The saying, truth is stranger than fiction, applies here. Einstein was slid onto the cover of a magazine as Man of the 20th Century. The gimmick was to sell magazines, and they did that by advertising in a contest as to who would get the most votes on the internet as Man of the 20th Century. Well, surprise, surprise. All the youth with their fascination and fun with compute, that's my abbreviation for computers, because at times, quantitatively, it's a compute with some of the things they put on there. Now, well, I said there's humor and everything. One of my favorite jokes is that I put on one of the best, I thought, religious programs. I think I got from 15 to 20 viewers. At that same time, this Lady Gaga showed on nude with a string of sausages and got 15, 20 million. So I said, well, maybe the way I have to do is to appear in the nude with a string of hamburgers. All right. Well, who won was a swivel hipping singer with a guitar. And that was embarrassing to this group of this rag magazine. Because maybe they had it figured they're going to slip in their ethnic choice. Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein over the Pope, great leaders, etc. Because more and more articles on the internet, you Google Einstein the plagiarist, etc. And articles, that magazine had to know or should have known that there's now thousands, plus or minus, exposés concerning who really did what, and that Einstein later, I would say, represented that same material. Now, back then in 1955, L not only was a colleague but a personal friend. Thus, I would politely say that he represented this material that he was given credit for. That was until I was reading a cultural column in an Italian-American society on the internet publication. And this contributor to that cultural society column said Albert Einstein is given the credit for the equation E equals mc squared. Really, that was put forth by Olinto de Prato 2 years before, in 2003, in a magazine called Atte, A-T-T-E, and then in 2004 at the prestigious Royal Academy of Science of Veneta in Italy. Then there's also a book that was written, not by just any author. This author is a mathematician, university professor, mathematician, and mathematical historian. He's a mathematical historian. And the title of his book is Albert Einstein and Olinto de Prato, The True History of the World's Most Famous Equation, by Professor Umberto Bartocci. The book could never get into the public until finally it broke through. Now, from those true facts, yours truly spent almost 2 years researching what the cultural contributor at the Italian American Society published. Now they say a picture's worth 1,000 words. That saying applies here. Any dollars like you and especially you view my YouTube videos. It's easily obtainable. Just Google Einstein, the world's greatest plagiarist. Part 1, 2, and 3. Time being of the essence, etc. You and especially you may want to know the critical proof now that I presented and present now. Well, the cover-up artists and ethnic hype supporters try to nullify true expose articles about Einstein, especially by trying to say there's no proof because Einstein never gave any references. Yours truly has proof. Einstein made one little mistake. He referred to and admitted help from Michael Basso. Who is Michael Basso? The first cousin of Olinto de Preto. Olinto's brother, Augusto, worked for an uncle, Basso. Yeah, that's the father of Michael Basso. And who is Michael Basso? He helped Einstein to work at the patent office. They worked together, closest friends, and they had a little group. Sometimes they get together in an academic discussion of Olinto de Preto's futuristic concepts. Do you understand how solid the proof is? Well, did Einstein understand Italian? Einstein lived in Italy for a while, went to school there. His father lived there. And his father, in fact, is still buried there. So Einstein traveled back and forth even after he went to Switzerland to work with Michael Basso. So Michael Basso was a Swiss Italian. And Einstein could speak and comprehend Italian fluently. And they had this academic discussions, and Olinto de Preto would explain his concept of matter transforming into energy, E equals mc squared, that with a small amount of matter you could obtain an enormous amount of energy, and he would do the calculations of how much tonnage that was as far as energy from coal. Now, people will say a small amount of matter that can transform into the enormous amount of energy. Of course, those are words of Einstein in 1941. No, those are the words precisely of Olinto de Preto, put forth in Ate, and especially in the prestigious Royal Academy of Science of Veneta, Italy in 1904. Thus, I am forced to repeat with emphasis concerning the true facts about my old friend Einstein. Einstein, you are the world's greatest plagiarist. Now I have maybe about another 7-8 minutes, because I was going to put forth about this S. Hawking. But really, number one would have to be Einstein, and now this S. Hawking. And Hawking has stated that he is not religious in the normal sense. He, in fact, in an interview published in The Guardian, Hawking regarding the concept of heaven as a myth, believing that there is no heaven or afterlife, and that such a notion was a fairy story for people afraid of the dark. Now, this Hawking, when he was young, wanted to be an Einstein. And he would call himself, or they would call him Einstein, and that's what he would answer to. Thus, as established, S. Hawking appears to have obtained being like Einstein. Because Einstein said, well, we're this naturally materialist, natural universe is just here. Now, Hawking was an enthusiast and made programs of money about science fiction and horror programs. Hawking thinks that we are not only just here, but that there is no there salvation. I challenge Einstein, all this enormous mass energy in the universe, where did all this matter come from? Long pause. Answer, quote, it's just here. That from, I suppose, world's great genius, especially concerning matter. My scientific opinion concerning this matter and this natural universe is inert matter cannot create itself. Therefore, this inert matter, this natural universe, must have had and has some sort of a new supernatural power. Believers say this supernatural power is the divine power of God. But regardless of what anyone says, especially preachers, the evolutionists say that they are descendants of animals, and I said, challenged them, going back with what? When was then an animal and man the same? That now there's, in my opinion, a human being and a jackass. Were they, then you're saying at one time they were the same. And rather to say he was wrong, or admit that there was the possibility, won't you admit the possibility of creation? No, because if they admit anything, they'll lose the argument. He said absolutely that at one time, man and a jackass are one and the same. Now, what can this little old religious preacher, I'm now a preacher because I got so bored and disgusted with plagiarists, Einstein and Hawking, and I said, you know, man's greatest challenge is the discipline of theology. Theology, the study of all beliefs. How did we get here? Why are we here? What best to do? So therefore, I had to, and they said he was going to die, and they couldn't break through to the public. So they go with this Hawking. Well, I had kind of been a force to develop an academic power out here. In fact, the think tank also, RAND, what is that? It's Research Army Navy Development, RAND. I'm an ideas man, and now I have ideas company with PhDs. I have Doxy PhD company, etc. Well, now this fellow comes into this university here, and he goes right by my office. He lives there for at least a year and visits back and forth. So after a while, he went by, and it was mentioned that he's here and he's traveling right by. Voila! Comes a book titled String Theory. Becomes popular, in fact famous, makes a lot of money. You can put this on a voice stress analyzer. I did the original work of string theory. Absolutely true fact. Like I say, you put this on a voice stress analyzer, I'll take a lie detector test anytime on any editor's desk. Absolutely prove. You have to print the results of who's telling the truth. Now, Hawking took and sort of disappeared, and reporters went and everybody looked, and then he came back, or they found him, and he's with this attractive girl, and it turns out to be one of his nurses, or the nurse he liked. And they said, well, gee, you know, you left for that while, what is it, 2 months, and what about your science? And he kind of said something to the effect, now you can research, reporters can find us. It's 15 minutes. Can find the actual interview where I think he says essentially, now he never really was a scientist in the interest. He wanted to make some money. He made money now. He has money and science is secondary. He wants to just live with this attractive girl and that's it. So in my opinion, the British inside power, their secret police, they forced him back into that wheelchair routine. That's, I think, how they do it. You have to ask the day before and so forth, and then the next day it's there and he taps something and up comes a printed answer that is his or supposed to be his, and then they have an electronic interpreter, or he somehow now comes with a voice that's his concept. What can this little old preacher do? Well, as far as science, I wish he could live 100 years, make twice the money, twice the honors. But when he says there is no God, and that someone like me, that's a believer, that it's a myth, and the reason I believe is because I'm scared of the dark, well, let's bring things to the light, Hawking. Let's have a one-on-one conference, in person, or at least on the internet. Because whether you know it or not, I did the original work of string theory. And the fact that you get all these idolations to believe that what you say is the law of science, and that in the discipline of theology, the study of all beliefs, how did we get here? Why are we here? What best to do? That you say there's no God, and that a little old preacher like me is scared of the dark. Let's have a one-on-one conference. Anytime, any place. That's my challenge. And to believers and to all of those who know, of course, that I am saying the truth, thank you.